don't know what I'm doing at all. This is something that I'm bringing back from my days in Houston. I used to do a radio show at night. It was called Gallant at Night. And on Fridays, perhaps because I was lazy and didn't think of any content, or perhaps because I just wanted to hear from you, we did this thing called Ask Gallant Anything. So you could ask any question, and I would try my best to answer it. And sometimes it didn't go so well. Maybe I said some dumb things along the way. That's part of the fun. So I've set up a home office. I don't really know what I'm doing. I basically went on Google and YouTube and tried to figure out how to set up a light, which I have behind this webcam, how to set up a stream on multiple accounts at the same time, which I'm doing through this thing called Restream. Again, zero clue if this is actually working right now. As you can see, my office is the Death Star. Very fetch. I thought it would be fun to make fun of all the people that have their fancy bookshelves and such in, what is it, like First Take and Speak for Your Pizza and all of those shows. So we're different. We operate in a Death Star. Some people were perhaps curious to see how the Seahawks schedule would play out. And in case you were curious, we could run through it one by one. I think it's very beneficial to them. First off, if you take a look at the first 4 games of the schedule, at the Falcons, home against the Patriots and Jarrett Stidham, home against the Cowboys, I'm not sure how good they're going to be this coming season, and at the Dolphins. They got a really good shot to start off the season 3-1 and 4-0. I don't know what it will end up being, but if you take a look at the Falcons, do you think Atlanta with Matt Ryan is going to be a challenge this season with the way they finished the year? Honestly, I don't know, because Matt Schaub gave the Seahawks problems. Week 2, though, Sunday night game at home at CenturyLink in front of the 12s with poor little Jarrett Stidham replacing Tom Brady and trying his hardest to do well. For those who don't know, I am a Patriots fan, and it is something I am not looking forward to as a Patriots fan, but as a Seahawks coverer and vicariously a fan. It's going to be a very interesting game. It's weird because it's like this is a different Patriots. It's as if they have replaced my Lord and Savior. In fact, they have replaced my Lord and Savior, Tom Brady, with Jarrett Stidham. We'll see how that goes. I doubt it will go very well for New England if it's a Sunday night game and that guy is in prime time with the 12s out there. Against the Cowboys, again, I'm not sure where I am at with Dallas. I don't know how I feel about Dak Prescott. I don't know how I feel about the defense that they have. They have lots of weapons, though, for Dak. So, honestly, if it doesn't work out this year for Dak, yikes. And then week 4, they go on the road to Miami, which can be difficult to play in September because it's hot, against a Dolphins team that was scrappy at the end of last year, but I'm not sure how good it is. So, Seahawks open up the season very well. Then they have a brutal stretch. Sunday night game against the Vikings, at the Cardinals the following week, after a bye week, which is going to be difficult given that the Cardinals added DeAndre Hopkins this offseason, and I feel like are going to be a lot better this coming year. With Kyler Murray a year older, Isaiah Simmons, we'll see what he does. The San Francisco 49ers, they have their first game against them the following week. At the Bills, Buffalo, a difficult place to play. I don't like Josh Allen. I do like the Bills' defense. At the Rams, who I don't think are a very good team. I think they're a 6-win team probably this coming season, but we all know the Seahawks have issues, especially when they go on the road to take on the Rams. Thursday night game at home against the Cardinals. Again, I like the Cardinals. And then at the Eagles. That 7-week stretch is going to determine whether or not, first off, the Seahawks win the division. Second off, if they are lucky enough to be the 1 seed in the NFC, which is, of course, adding a 7th playoff team, and only one team will end up getting a bye, they've got to go basically like 5-2 over that stretch if they want any chance of potentially getting that first-round bye. Then after that, you play a bunch of scrubs. You got a bye week essentially against the Giants, who stink. You got a bye week against the Jets, who stink. You're on the road against the Washington Redskins the next week. They stink. And then you wrap up the year with a home game against the Rams, who I think will stink, and I don't think will be really competing for a playoff spot at that point in time. A lot of people are differing with me on that front. Okay, good luck. Jared Goff. In case you didn't understand what I was saying. And then you wrap up the season with one of 0 primetime games against the San Francisco 49ers, this time in Santa Clara. So there you go. A lot of people have hot takes on the NFL schedule every single year that it comes out. I don't think it's that big of a deal because generally you know who they are going to play, the Seahawks. Every single season, you know they're going to play the teams that came in the same place as them in the division the year before. You know that they will play one specific division. That's the AFC East. You know that they will in the AFC, and you know they'll play one specific division in the NFC. That's the NFC East. So you know who they're going to play. It's just a matter of when. I do think that it's beneficial the way that things open up, and I think it's fairly beneficial the way that December begins. But that stretch in the middle of the year, that's going to determine what happens. Okay, before we get to some questions, a couple more takes on the schedule. I am mad that the Rams have 5 primetime games and the Seahawks have 4. Because I just don't understand the appeal of the Los Angeles Rams. They're finally going to wear uniforms that match. They are playing in a brand new stadium that might be completely empty. Okay. Jared Goff? I want to watch Jalen Ramsey. Cornerbacks, of course, they're prominently featured on national television. Everyone knows that you see a cornerback for the entirety of a play. I like to watch defensive tackles. Aaron Donald is really good. I'll give him credit on that front. But I mean, after that, can you name a Los Angeles Ram without going to Google after Cooper Kupp, Jalen Ramsey, Aaron Donald, and Jared Goff? 3, 2, 1, boom. Nope, you couldn't. If you really think about it, though, they do have some decent players. I mean, Gerald Everett at tight end, who hurt the Seahawks in that Thursday night game earlier this year. And on top of that, you've got Tyler Higbee. So they've got some decent tight ends. And they've got some decent players on the roster. But, I mean, 5 primetime games. That's tied for the most in the NFL this coming season. Come on. Why? Who wants to watch the Rams? I don't. So there's that matter. And I understand that the Seahawks could potentially have some games flexed into primetime and likely won't have any flexed out of primetime given that it's impossible for that to happen. They play both of their Sunday night home games to open things up within the first 5 weeks. So those don't have a possibility of being flexed the way that the Eagles game this past season was. And on top of that, they play a Monday night game later on in the year against the Eagles, as I said, at the very end of November, and they have that Thursday night game against the Cardinals. There's a chance that one of the later games will get flexed into potentially a Sunday night spot. But come on, who's more compelling? The team with Russell Wilson or the Rams? Come on. Easy, easy, easy answer to that question. One last thing that I want to get off before I move on to your questions. I can't believe that the NFL Network decided to make a 3-hour event out of the schedule release. And whoever was anchoring that event, I mean, you deserve a medal. That is a long, long, long event, and I imagine there were interviews along the way. But, I mean, what questions are you going to ask a coach or a player about a schedule release? Hey, are you excited to play that team on this specific date that you already knew you were playing? The answer is probably going to be some BS filibuster that's polite from a coach, or it's just going to be some gruff answer. I don't know if Bill Belichick was a part of it. Honestly, that might have been worth watching the 3-hour special. But no, 3 hours about an NFL schedule release, that's a lot of time. But you're probably thinking to yourself right now, Paul, you've talked this entire time about the NFL schedule release, and you're also probably thinking to yourself, Paul, aren't you going to get to the point? Which, by the way, I haven't yet. Here is my point. I think that sports can speed themselves up, and I feel like there are ways that they can speed themselves up very easily. And I laid this out on today's Danny and Gallant show. Number 1, the NFL. I understand that we want to get every single call right. I also understand that we talk for entire off seasons about blown calls, especially when they happen at the end of a game. But I'm tired of seeing guys like Pete Carroll throw a challenge on like a 3-yard completion so that it'll be 2nd and 7 as opposed to 2nd and 10. I like Pete a lot, but these are the kind of challenges that Pete will do. And I imagine if you follow another team, maybe it's the Texans, maybe it's another one, you probably scratch your head at a lot of coaches' challenges. I feel like we should make coaches really think long and hard before they throw a challenge flag out there. So I feel like you should only have 2 challenges all game long. Get rid of automatic review. Automatic review of touchdowns. automatic review of interceptions, automatic review of fumbles, automatic review of everything. And I understand that you want to get calls right, but and because of the HD cameras that we have now, you can see whenever a call gets messed up. But I just want the games to move along. And NFL games end up taking a whole lot longer because you have referees huddling and trying to figure out what the heck's going on a field. Ultimately, it slows everything down, bores me, and my ADD here grabs the phone. You know, like I lose my train of thought. That's perhaps why I'm suggesting that sports need to speed up. But I think that you should make coaches have to be really smart about their challenges. And guess what? If you're out of timeouts late in the game, should have been smart about it. Should have been smart so that you know that you would have in your back pocket the chance to challenge something. Now, maybe you could have a compromise here and you have automatic review in the last minute of a game as opposed to the last 2 minutes. But I would like to get rid of the delays and long pauses that we see in the NFL. In baseball, you guys, if you've been following me for a while, you know that do not like this specifically about baseball. I don't like how long it takes pitchers to throw the damn ball. Throw the ball, please, please. I don't get why the league is so resistant to add a pitch clock. Is it really, really that much of a detriment to pitchers? The Astros got caught cheating. Shouldn't sign stealing be something that no one is concerned about because the Astros got punished? Isn't that over? Sign stealing, at least to the degree that the Astros did, that the Red Sox did. Aren't we past that? So, pitchers, get the ball to home plate. And I'm specifically looking at relievers. Relievers. Especially if your ERA is like 6 and you've been up from the minors for like 2 weeks. Relievers take so long to throw the ball. I don't know if it's because they want to sit out on the mound as long as they possibly can. But I don't need to see you adjusting your crotch. I don't need to see you spitting. I don't need to see all of the things that happen in the 45 seconds between pitch 1 and pitch 2, then 3, and then 4. Please speed it up. So my suggestion is, unless your ERA is sub 3, you must get the ball to home plate in 20 seconds. So you have to be good. And by the way, one of the best pitchers in baseball over the last couple of years that we'll see going forward, seeing as he's having Tommy John surgery, Chris Sale. Chris Sale gets the ball out quickly. Chris Sale is like Brooks Koepka in golf. These guys move along. James Glenn says, I'd rather they get it right than get it quickly when it comes to calls made on the field. Would you know that they got it wrong if they showed less replay? And there have been some plays in history that ultimately have cost a team. I would look more specifically at, I think it was the 1978-79 AFC Championship or AFC playoff game between the Houston Oilers and the Pittsburgh Steelers, where Mike Renfro had a catch in the back of the end zone, got 2 feet down, and the refs ruled him out of bounds. It would have been great to review that. But if you have challenges over the course of an entire game, you can throw a challenge there. The automatic replay definitely gives referees a safety net, but I feel like we've seen recently that the safety net has been used in situations where it doesn't need to be. And I feel like the refs want to be safe rather than sorry, but very often when they're trying to be safe, they don't get it right. And also, you'll have a referee. I mean, I think the bigger issue right now that you have is that a referee blowing his whistle kills a play, and that might potentially kill, I don't know, a fumble return for a touchdown. We saw that in a Saints-Rams game earlier this year. That, to me, is, I think, a bigger issue than these blown calls. Like, the play actually being called dead before it's actually dead. And that's not really a blown call that can be changed by review, because you can't review once a whistle has been blown. I think that's a little bit more of a problem. If you make coaches manage their challenges, I feel like you will ultimately get things right. And yes, there's the possibility that something happens while a team has no timeouts or challenges left. And I understand the idea that maybe you keep the 2-minute thing going, but the game has actually gotten a little bit slower because of all the replay that they've added. And I feel like more replay doesn't make things better. I feel like it just makes us second guess everything. And guess what? These referees are not perfect. I feel for them. It is a very, very difficult job that they have. They're up there in age. They probably don't have the best of eyesight. They are trying to see around these behemoth human beings who are running around at speeds that honestly shouldn't be physically possible. To expect them to be able to see things the same way that an HD camera in slow motion can pick something up is honestly ridiculous. In basketball, I feel like we need to get rid of the stop clock that happens during the last 2 minutes of a game. College basketball has a running clock until the last minute of a game. If you've noticed, if you watch an NBA game, you watch a college basketball game, there's a lot of fouls, there's a lot of timeouts. The end of a game, I feel like the flow, the excitement, it all gets just stuck with a pin, and that balloon pops, and the game's just not enjoyable typically in those last 2 minutes or so. You have so many pauses. And I feel like if you just kept the running clock until maybe the last 30 seconds after every single made basket, there would be continuity in action. There wouldn't be a pause all the time. Teams would manage their timeouts better. And I know there would still be some timeouts at the end of the game, but I feel like there has to be a way that the NBA can make the last couple of minutes of a basketball game just have a better flow. Because right now it's just herky-jerky stop action, and I don't think it's that enjoyable. The last one, this one is just self-explanatory. How has college football not gotten rid of the stopped clock after a first down? Seriously, what's taking so long? These games take like 5 hours. I mean, come on. I get that people like college football, the pageantry and all of that. The halftime show is long enough. But when I look at... Sorry, I got a text really quick. When I got... what was I talking about? Oh, man. I have to work on the ADD components of this little command center here. Halftime show's long enough. You have all these pauses after first downs. How many teams right now run the football like a Navy or like an Air Force used to do? That, to me, is one of the big problems here, is that you haven't modernized the game, where now you see all these teams that just throw and throw and throw and throw. So the clock's going to stop on an incomplete pass. And now the clock's going to stop in the midst of their hurry up when they get a first down. Those first downs are going to happen a lot for a lot of these spread them out kind of teams. Like, look at a Washington State, our beloved Cougs. I mean, they throw the ball all over the yard. And when they throw the ball all over the yard, guess what happens? There's a lot of first downs. There's a lot of stop clocks. And the games end up taking 3.5 to 4 hours. I feel like they could do a better job of speeding things up. So there you go. That is my brief take. Hopefully next time I will be able to succinctly get it out. I think I spent more time perhaps setting up this little command center with my Death Star background. Look at the views, huh? Yeah, I got a fancy office. Than I actually did perhaps into laying out all the information that I needed to. I got all my show notes from the morning jumbled all over the place. Can't even concentrate when someone sends me a text. Jeepers, Paul, get it together. Okay, what do we got? Joshua Allen Beard, my old producer from Gallant at Night, first off asks, how dare you? Well, I'm sorry, I'm stepping into the streaming game, but guess what? We of the radio industry, we got to stay on top of it. And we don't want to just die, Gotta feed my cat. He also says he needs to teach me how to fix my camera. Fine. Randy says NFC weak East. That's not a question, but I agree. We get way too much NFC East stuffed down our throats over the course of an NFL season. Hard pass on that. Kyle Blair asks, have you been to the Yacht Week? You should check it out. Yes, for those who have not done the Yacht Week, Kyle Blair and I actually were roommates on a Yacht Week in Greece back in 2016. Yacht Week is essentially spring break for people in their late 20s and their 30s. It's a little expensive, but you end up basically going to a beautiful country. You stay on a boat with maybe 7 of your closest friends, 7 randos, and you go from island to island to island, and from island to island to island, you end up doing just chilling, relaxing, hanging out on a boat, jumping in the Mediterranean or jumping into some other water, eating the amazing locale food. Look how fancy I sound. It's really awesome. I've done it twice. I will probably do it again. I did it in Greece. I did it in Croatia this past summer. It was incredible. And yeah, seriously, I cannot recommend Yacht Week enough. There's a reason that my obnoxious Instagram account is posting like, hey, living my best life in Croatia. What else do we got? That's it. I think that's all we got for questions. So maybe I got to do a thing of loading questions up via the old Twitterooski beforehand. Hope that you enjoyed this. Hope that this actually came out and physically worked. And next time there will be less issues. There will be less hijinks, and I think it will be a little bit better organized. And we'll probably change the background up to something else, and you'll have to guess it. So until next time, this has been a presentation of Ask Gallant Anything. Make sure that you tune in to Monday's Danny and Gallant, 7 o'clock on 710 ESPN Seattle. If you haven't already, subscribe to the Danny and Gallant podcast. What's wrong with you? Do you hate me or something? 5-star rating, please, please. It's a good show. Nice little commentary would be nice. Heck, you can roast me in the comments section. At Gallant Says on Twitter, Facebook.com/Paul Gallant Sports. On Instagram, I have 2 accounts. I have my personal account, at Gallant Says. I also have my sports account where I try to post memes. I'm not very regular with posting them, at SportsPaul, Pawl. And what else we got? Oh, YouTube. For those who are YouTubers, I'm trying to build this bad boy up. Paul Gallant is the handle. We might change it. I'm still working on some things on that front. So have a great weekend, everybody. Billions Season 5, Episode 2. Can't wait for that on Sunday. Rick and Morty, another episode of that coming out on Sunday as well. Ooh, going to be a fun weekend. Plus, we got The Last Dance to watch as well. Enjoy yourselves. Stay safe. Wash your hands. Wash your butts. And you'll hear me talking about the sports on